Hi Countryside, it's Joe Smith, your general manager, and I'm here today with another resident interview, Tom Pia. Thanks for sitting down with me today, Mr. Pia.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. You're over in Country Manor.
I am, Building 7.
And you also have a unit in Country Haven, correct?
I do.
Excellent. Well, you and I have had a couple conversations recently. You had some questions on the project and, kind of the overall proposal, and I thought it'd be good to sit down and have a little bit more in-depth conversation. So,
I had quite a few questions, which you answered most of them.
Yeah.
And we had a great conversation. One of the main topics that I brought up was during November's meeting, we were in the back of the room, and we heard that the fees were going up to $1,800 a year, the food and beverage.
the minimum.
The minimum.
Yeah.
So we couldn't tell whose voice it was, so naturally we just thought it was one of the speakers saying that, and it got everybody a little nervous.
Yeah.
And when I met with you, you clarified that
there's no intentions to increase that fee.
Right.
Yeah. And in fact, the board just recently, they're going to finalize it in April, but they did have a discussion recently about cutting the minimum in half during the construction period, should the project pass. So that was positive. And if it does pass, they would make that affirmative at the April board meeting as part of the budget they adopt. So
that's a good thing, because during the poolside at Country Haven, that was brought up.
Sure.
That was a big topic.
Yeah.
For
Well, we
everyone.
have started, sharing that in the community at some of our other poolside meetings. So just another kind of thing that's been out there and unknown that we're able to, confirm for the residents. So, but I want to talk. You told me initially that you were, kind of against the project early on. And
definitely against the project.
Okay, fair enough. There's residents out there who are.
Right.
With a project of this size, that's not uncommon. But you've shared that you've kind of started to shift a little bit. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, I've definitely had a shift. I'm definitely not all the way down it, totally against the project. That's a given.
Okay.
Things started to shift. I think everybody agrees, or I hope everybody agrees, we definitely need some sort of outside dining.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whatever took a lot of people the wrong way, or by surprise, was the pool area being done.
Mm-hmm.
And then another bar there. And some of the questions I was hearing in the community: what are we going to do with 2 bars plus a dining room?
Sure.
How are we going to support that?
Sure.
Are our fees going to have to go up to support the staff?
Yeah.
And there were all sorts of questions regarding that.
Yeah.
And then after having a few discussions with you, everything was clarified, and you talked about hours and and things. So naturally, my original response when I'm against the project is, let's go find another community to go to.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty extreme.
But let's find a community that already had their project done.
Okay. Fair
So
enough.
that was one of the criteria.
Yeah.
So I went to Heritage Bay.
Mm-hmm.
They had theirs done, and I played golf up there a couple times, and I talked to some of the owners, and they explained that it didn't get passed right away, but second time around it gets passed, but how happy they were.
Yeah.
And now I know, when I used to go there, very few people were out at the pool. Now that pool is packed because they have the bar there, everybody's sitting there with their kids or no kids, and they're eating and drinking, and they're enjoying life.
Right. Right. So you've got some familiarity with some of these other communities that have done the project.
Right.
Yeah. You also mentioned to me about the people here, kind of swaying that decision a little bit. It's a pretty drastic move. How long have you been in Countryside?
I've been here 10 years.
That's a long time.
Or going on, it'll be 11 in June.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to make that decision, that's a pretty drastic move.
So it was a very drastic move, and you know, all set to pull the trigger, and you just sat down and you took a breath and you thought about it, and well, what if you don't like the people in the community?
Yeah.
Who wants to live there? I know I love everybody in Countryside, and it's a big drawing card, coming here.
Yeah.
All the new people I talk to, especially over at Country Haven, I'm over there because I'm still president of Building 5, doing things. And we just talk about how nice the community is.
Yeah.
And, everybody works together. Everybody's friendly.
Yeah.
So that brought me back.
Yeah. Well, and that's true. That has come up in every interview I've done. When I was doing the meet the staff interviews as well, all the employees say the same thing. I've been in several communities through my career, and without question, the residents here and the employees, they're like family.
Right.
And it's just such a welcoming environment. I don't see that elsewhere to the extent that you have it here.
So, as a matter of fact, when I bought here, every place I looked, I would go to their restaurant or their bar.
Yeah.
And I would sit down, have a drink, eat, whatever, and you could get a feel for the people. And Joe Libator must have called me for 2 or 3 years to try to get me here, and I didn't want to come. And finally, I came.
Where were you previously?
I was up in Falling Waters, but all the way up on Collier Boulevard.
Okay.
And I was there for a short time, and it was too far to go downtown. It was too far, no golf course. Golf course was a big thing for me.
Sure. So you went through the golf course renovation with us.
I did.
Big, massive project. What were your thoughts going through that process?
So that didn't bother me at all.
Okay.
Because we had reciprocals, and
Sure.
I was enjoying life.
Yeah.
I think some of the people that didn't want to use the reciprocals, maybe they were, I don't know if they were upset, but it didn't stop the beat of the community.
Yeah.
The renovation.
Yeah.
And the course came out very nice.
Yeah. We're happy with how it turned out.
Yeah.
And it was really, just this project that being proposed now is a continuation of all that, an investment in these assets that are all, 30 plus years old, so it's really, when we say it's an investment in the future of the community, it really is. And it's, looking to maintain and enhance the resident experience.
Well, I think, listen, we have to get updated.
Yeah.
We need an outside bar there.
Yeah.
I was hoping they came with the last project, but there were issues,
Sure.
So, and if the pool is going to be built, so be it. I just want to make sure it's some sort of, useful pool that it's not just there for aesthetics.
Sure.
I think that's huge, and that quite a few people could come down to the pool, because I think it'll be a big drawing crowd. If my grandkids come, I would probably take them down to that pool.
Yeah.
They love the pool over at Falling Waters. My daughter's over in Falling Waters across the street.
Yeah.
So when my grandkids come, we jackass them over there once in a while.
Go over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're in the pool all day long.
Well, I mean, that would certainly be the draw for, as a kind of a central hub for the community. And when you talk about the pool being useful, I know that's important to the committee, is still maintaining an opportunity for residents to swim laps. The aqua aerobics is a big program here, so
Right.
still having the ability to do that, but also having it be more of a, casual aesthetic feature that just kind of provides the atmosphere over at the general pool area. So, yes, it would continue to be useful, not just for looks,
So I know from Heritage Bay, their outdoor dining area gets used quite a bit.
Yeah.
Most of the golfers don't go inside anymore. They go to the outside dining area, and the pool's right next door, and everybody just has a good time. It's
Yeah.
a nice feature.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about the outdoor dining and the pool. Are there any other aspects of the project that you're kind of hung up on? Because you told me that you're about 75% there.
Right.
So what's the other 25%?
The dining room.
Yeah.
I think I don't believe the dining room has to get enlarged. Maybe it has to get reconfigured or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but if somebody tells me, oh, we need it because we had 204 people here for welcome night,
Yeah.
or the Italian nights sold out. Well, you know, if I'm in the restaurant business, I'd like one night that's sold out because then everybody wants to come to the next
Sure.
one.
Sure. That's a good point.
So that's a hang up. I mentioned, you know, naturally it's selfish. I mentioned about the gym because I go to the gym all the time. So if we have someone that decides to do planks in front of the free weight set,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know if that's another project down the road.
Yeah.
That was a question I had for the committee.
Yeah. Well, as part of the study, they did identify, you know, a potential future expansion of the wellness center. So it is, you know, kind of out there. You know, there's not a time frame, but there's area for the community to make that decision down the road.
Right.
You know, so the ability to expand that space is there. And I'm going to put you on the spot. You know, I'm sure when the board wants to put a committee together to look at that, maybe you'd be interested. Throw your name in the hat.
Yeah.
So, what else are you hearing out there? You know, from, I know you play a lot of golf.
So it
I saw you out there with the guys today.
Yeah,
You know,
it depends what foursome you're with.
Sure, sure.
So, my Wednesday group, my buddy Ed, I'm in the car with him, and he said, "What could you do with $10,000? Can you even do your floor for $10,000?"
Yeah,
And he said, "This is, you know, he's a firm believer in the project and believes that it's going to raise the value in the community." And I've had this discussion with you that it may not raise the value in the community. You know, the value is going as supply and demand goes, but it may entice somebody to buy in Countryside.
versus elsewhere.
Versus elsewhere.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a woman in the bar the other day. She was with Mo, and Mo had her pad out, so you knew she was a newbie that just coming into the community. And I asked her, I said, "What made you buy here?" And she's renting at Naples Heritage. And she said, "I came in here, I met Mo in the lounge area, I saw the fountain, and I fell in love with the lounge area and fell in love with the community."
Yeah.
And she said a couple people said hello, and I felt at ease with myself.
Yeah.
And she ended up buying.
Yeah. That's. I mean, we hear that a lot.
Yeah, I think the people are a big draw
Yeah.
to this community.
Yeah.
What else do you hear? So that's Ed, you know, and then you hear, "Well, I was for it, now I don't know if I'm for it." So naturally you ask why. Well, they're going to close the clubhouse for a year. I don't know if I want to be around and, you know, have the clubhouse down for a year.
Yeah.
And then there's people that think that their yearly dues, the fee for the food is going to get moved over to their yearly dues, and that's going to go up an extra 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
Which we discussed, and you explained that to me.
Yep. And we've publicized that. You know, the brochure went out, so that all those financials are public now. And you know, Jeff has gone through the operating forecast a number of times, and we're comfortable with. You know, we're looking at like $60 to $75 a year in increased annual dues, and that's not just related to food and beverage. That's like the whole operation. You know, when we take in insurance costs and taxes and you know, other operating supplies and whatnot. You know, so it's a really small number that we're looking at. So.
And then the last thing that some people are concerned about, green space.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have that much green space, you know.
Yeah.
What do we have? We have that little strip here, a little strip there.
Sure.
Are we going to lose it? I said, you know, I don't know if we're going to lose it. You don't know until you see a final drawing or something.
Yeah.
How far are they going out, you know? There's people worried about the putting green being
Yeah.
wiped out,
There's no that won't happen.
you know?
Yeah, that
Is the
won't
driving range going to
That won't happen. Yeah.
Do I want somebody sitting out there eating dinner while I'm hitting balls and, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
hit them
valid
straight and nobody
concerns.
worries about a thing?
You know, I think what's refreshing though is that as we've gone through this process, you know, some of the early concerns were some of the bigger questions. You know, like really, what's it going to cost me, and is this number real, and you know, the bigger kind of questions. And we've answered a lot of those. And if that's what we're hearing now,
Right.
like I'm afraid of what I'm going to be looking at, or someone watching me hit balls on the
Right.
range. That tells a pretty good story, I would hope.
So I think after our original meeting in November,
Yeah.
I know the group I was with were all no. We walked out of that meeting and there wasn't anybody that was close to being in favor of this project. I've seen those people in the past couple weeks, and I'm going to say 75% of those people are on the fence.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, they went from a strong no to on the fence.
Yeah.
And, you know, the pool area, you remember those November meetings,
Yeah.
the pool area used to get beat up. Nobody uses it, what we doing, you know? But will people use it? I think people will come down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I would come down with, you know, not when I'm here by myself. I would come down for a drink, but whenever my grandkids are here, or if I was had somebody here, I would go to that pool
Right.
and hang out,
Right.
flip my flag, tell somebody to come over and
Yeah. Get yourself a Mai Tai or a pina colada or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Awesome. I think it would be. And you know, we've seen it in other communities, you know, and I mean, it sounds like you have too. Like
Right.
it does get the activity.
Yeah.
So excellent. Well, my last question for you is you've attended a number of the meetings.
3.
You were at one of our poolside chats
Right.
last week, I believe. So between now and you know, kind of that April time frame, what else do you think is important to get out to the community?
So, being blunt, I think trust is a big thing.
Yeah.
When we left the meeting in November, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer if you're on a team and you'll take somebody with less talent that you could trust than somebody with more talent that you can't trust.
Sure.
And we came away from that November meeting really, a lot of people just didn't feel good about anything. They didn't feel as though their questions were answered. They thought
Yeah.
everybody was skirting around the issue. But the more meetings you attended, and I think it was a learning curve for the board and who's giving presentations. And, you know, maybe they didn't expect certain questions and you get caught off guard.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, so the last meeting, the poolside meeting, was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could say this, but when you step in to answer some of the questions, it's a very direct answer, and you could tell that there's, you know, that's the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Well,
So-
I think, you know, when you're working in the operation every day, you just, you know, I know, you know,
Right.
certain things about, you know, the day-to-day operations, which you wouldn't expect a committee member to, you know, ultimately have the answer to.
Oh,
But I
absolutely.
think over time we've really refined the presentation, as you said, and that's
So I think that was the biggest thing. The biggest
Yeah.
thing was I don't think there was any trust in the original meetings. And, some of the people came out the original meeting. They said, hey, the last one got screwed up. What are they going to do with this one?
Sure.
And this one's costing $14 million.
Yeah, it's a big number.
It is a big number.
So trust, transparency, being, open to questions, communication,
Right.
kind of continuing what, the track we've gotten ourselves on
And-
recently.
Yeah, and some people felt as though the committee was hiding something.
Yeah.
Don't let them feel like that. Let them feel that you're wide open and
Open book.
yeah. And I think some people were a little discouraged that it was in this way
Sure.
or nothing.
Yeah.
But
Well, I appreciate that. It's great advice. So, I don't want to take any more of your time.
It was a pleasure.
Really appreciate you sitting down with me today. I want to thank you because I know you had a ton of questions early on, and as I encourage all residents, come sit down and chat. We can talk through a lot of this stuff. Either with myself or a committee member. You took that step, and
Right.
and I think we were able to really clarify a lot.
so that
lot of things.
that really helped. And then
Yeah.
it also helps. We have little get-togethers over at Country Haven when we're having meetings, and somebody will have a question, and we left that November 6th meeting all thinking that it's going up to $1,800. And
Yeah.
after the chat with you, when we had our breakfast, I was able to tell everybody
Yeah.
the real story.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate you being a great supporter of the club, and I really appreciate you helping clarify some of the information out there because I know you've done that since we've met.
Right.
So, Countryside, again, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, you can send an email directly to the committee. You can reach out to myself. Mr. Pia, thanks again.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all around the club real soon. Thank you.